Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Jason, certified financial planner and host of Fighting Words Financial. If I look a little different today, please excuse my appearance. I did just wake up from an afternoon nap and I decided to do this video. The top 4 reasons to sell a stock. Too many of the videos that I see on YouTube are, using technical signals to indicate when you should buy or sell. Well, the sad fact of the matter is most people who are invested in the stock market aren't actually, short-term traders who are looking for technical signals. What they are long-term investors, and they're looking for, those big returns over time. So if that's you, then you really only have 4 reasons to sell. Well, there are more, but these are the top 4 reasons to sell. So number 1 we're going to talk about is you need the money for an emergency. And I'm going to assume this is after you burn through your emergency fund, or your emergency fund just wasn't large enough to cover whatever emergency it is. And that is not this kind of emergency. I need $200 to go out drinking with the boys this weekend. It's this type of emergency. I need medical bills for a procedure or an illness. I have car repairs that I can't pay with my emergency fund. Let's say you need a new transmission in your truck. It's going to cost you $2,000 to do it. You need home repairs. A wall needs to be repaired, or you need a new roof on your house. That's actually not a real wall, folks. That's just a backdrop. The economy crashes. I don't know, for some reason, like a pandemic, for instance. You lose your job, which is more common than people want to think. And I know most people think when they have a job that the job is secure, or they're indispensable where they work. Nobody is, and the older you get, the closer you get to middle age, my age, the more you're going to realize that you don't have a secure job, and you should have an emergency fund put together. You should have a plan to liquidate stocks if you have to. The final reason, that you need money for an emergency is to help out with a loved one. I'm not going to tell you guys not to loan your cousin Bob money when he needs it, even though he's not going to pay you back. And that happens. Every family has someone that they experience that with. And I'm not going to tell you, loved ones are complicated and you can't always say no. It's healthy to learn how to say no at some point, but I understand that you can't always do that. So that's one big reason why you might sell stocks. The second big reason that you might want to sell a stock at some point is you need to reduce risk in your portfolio. This is particularly acute this year when we've seen giant run-ups in a number of different stocks, or I cover a lot of EVs on my channel, but it doesn't even need to be EV stocks. There's been run-ups in asset classes all over the stock market this year. It may be that you have taken advantage of momentum in a stock all year long. You've let it run up. But at some point, any stock in your portfolio might grow so much that you just have too much of your wealth concentrated in a single company. It's okay to rebalance and to take some of that risk off the table, and you might find equally good opportunities to invest in anyway. Number 3 is kind of the hardest one to gauge in a lot of cases, but I'm going to give you a couple of really easy examples. Number 3 is the reason that you bought the stock simply doesn't apply anymore. Meaning that the reason that you originally bought the stock because you thought they were going to dominate this industry, a lot of times the economy and time just kind of passes you by. So let's say you own stock in a company like, and I don't even know if they trade publicly, Jiffy Lube. It might look like an okay play right now, but I think you and I both know that the world has reached peak oil change. And as electric vehicles replace internal combustion engine vehicles, these places are going to start disappearing as gasoline engines are removed little by little from service and replaced by electric ones. A second thing would be if you own stock in Remax or Coldwell Banker, and I do know those are actually publicly traded in one form or another, you might want to reevaluate, the ability of those companies to survive the digital transformation of their business. That is moving home sales online, and that is cutting agents and brokers out of real estate sales. This may no longer be a type of investment that you want to be in. Number 4, and the one that I find most difficult for a lot of the folks that I've worked with in the past, is you have achieved your goal. Now, what do I mean by that? Buy and hold is a great strategy for ultra long-term investments. And people, though, don't always have ultra long-term goals. People invest for the medium term and the short term all the time, and a lot of times it's for a specific goal. For example, I'm saving money up for a down payment on my dream home, or I want to take a vacation to Australia and ride a kangaroo. I don't need to take that trip anytime soon. I just want it to happen one day, but I want to set a specific money goal for it, so I'm going to set aside money every month into a separate brokerage account. The money that you set aside is going to compound and grow with a higher interest rate than if you just stuck it in a bank account, but it might not, and that's the risk you take when you invest rather than save. I can tell you one thing though, you are taking a lot more risk, and I mean inflation risk, by sticking your money in a bank account. You will not keep up with inflation. The average savings account offers far less than 1% annual percentage yield, and those rates have been below 5% for almost 12 years now, whereas stocks, even just a plain old S&P 500 index fund, has returned around, at least on average, 9% each year for the last 7 decades. For savings goals that are, further in the future, say 4 or 5 years away, there's nothing wrong with saving in an investment account. In fact, that's something to keep in mind for most stock market investors. I think that a minimum timeline for a stock market investment should really be 4 or 5 years or longer. I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on that, but your chances of losing money actually diminish the longer you hold any stock statistically. The vast majority of short-term stock market investors actually perform very poorly when compared to buy and hold investors over time. Stock market investing, of course, isn't the only way to save for every savings goal. In fact, if your goal is less than 5 years away, then you should probably set up a savings goal in a savings account or some other type of, much safer vehicle. Now comes the hard part for a lot of folks. If you've invested money in stocks for a longer term goal like retirement, and you've achieved it, you are retired, sell, and don't feel guilty about it at all, and don't feel like you're missing out on anything. You'd be surprised how many people I've encountered professionally that have a far harder time with a disciplined strategy to sell their investments and spend their money than they ever had with savings. Why? Once your goals are achieved, especially a retirement goal, that's a huge goal, and that's a great investing success, and you should use that money even if you have some fear of missing out over future growth. You have earned it. But most importantly, you use 3 elements: discipline, the power of compound interest, and time to meet your goal. But those same 3 elements can't actually help you buy more time to enjoy the fruits of proper financial planning. So don't be afraid when the time comes to enjoy what you worked so hard to achieve. Anyway, folks, those are just my top 4 reasons to sell a stock at any time. You can tell me how wrong you think I am in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll see you next time.